Have you ever imagined that two world-class K-pop stars suddenly have to face a storm behind the stage? What happens when BTS's Jungkook suddenly reveals a serious problem that threatens their careers and mental health? And what is the fate of Taehyung, who is now uncertain after completing military service? This is a story that makes fans nervous, curious, even crying if you know the facts. A confession from Jungkook took the South Korean entertainment world by storm and rocked the ARMY's global fan base. In an unexpected moment, Jungkook emotionally delivered a statement loaded with hidden meaning, opening the veil that had been tightly closed regarding the future of BTS. However, that's not all that has left millions of people speechless. He mentions one name explicitly, Taehyung, and implies that something very serious is going on, something that hasn't even been talked about publicly. Jungkook's lines hung in the air like riddles, and the public began to ask, is this a sign that BTS is no longer as solid as it used to be? Jungkook's gesture wasn't just a word. His voice trembled. His eyes were red. He's not on stage or on a variety show. The confession came during a limited interview session that was originally designed as an image recovery after the activities of individual BTS members during military service. But no one expected that the interview would become a turning point in the group's grand narrative. There are things we can't control, even among ourselves, Jungkook said at the time with a long pause. Taehyung, he's going through a very hard time. And I was afraid. We were all afraid that everything would change permanently. The fundamental question arises, what happened to Taehyung? Why is Jungkook the only one who openly talks about him? Is there an internal conflict that hybe has been hiding all this time? If we trace the trail back a few months, various small clues begin to feel relevant. While other BTS members were seen as active in public projects before serving in the military, Taehyung appeared more reserved. In several personal vlogs released, her expression changed. The smile was still there, but it was stiff. His eyes are no longer as bright as they used to be. Even when she appears in international magazine shoots that are usually full of charisma, fans feel that something is missing. Some South Korean media began to trace information from the scope of the entertainment industry. A senior journalist stated that BTS's internal changes are taking place slowly and pressure. He added that not all members are on the same frequency about BTS's direction going forward. So, is Jungkook's statement a form of early warning? Is this a signal that Taehyung's position within BTS is being threatened? According to industry sources, Taehyung is experiencing a personal crisis due to industry pressures, public expectations, and complicated internal contracts. Although this information has not been officially confirmed by hybe's agency, Jungkook's signal reinforces that there is indeed tension that cannot be ignored. Not a few also recalled an old BTS interview where Taehyung once mentioned that he sometimes felt alone, even though he was in the middle of the members. The remark is now being re-examined by the public, matched by small behavioral changes that have so far gone unnoticed. Some celebrity psychologists even analyze that public pressure and fame can erode a person's confidence if they don't get enough internal support. More worryingly, rumors that Taehyung was considering the surprise move of not returning to the group project after completing his military service began to spread quickly. In fact, according to one exclusive report, he is said to have turned down a number of offers related to BTS's comeback. Meanwhile, the ARMY's response was divided. Some felt sad. Some were angry with hybe for not providing enough emotional protection to the members. Amid all this chaos, there was no official statement on the part of the agency, as if letting the public make their individual assumptions. But no less important is the reaction of other BTS members. RM, as the leader, chose silence. Jimin just wrote a short message, "We are always with you," on the Weverse community platform, without mentioning names. Jeon and Suga, who are still serving in the military, made no public comment, although some fans claim to have seen an implied interaction in their last post. Back to Jungkook. Why is he the only one who speaks openly? Many observers judge that Jungkook, as the youngest member, has the strongest emotional bond with Taehyung. The two have been known to be close since their trainee days, even being nicknamed soulmates by fans for their close chemistry on and off stage. So it is not strange that Jungkook's concern for Taehyung is so great, that he decides to take a risk and speak openly to the public. This admission led many to ask, was Jungkook signaling that a split was inevitable? Or just trying to save what's left of their friendship? After all, Jungkook's actions have opened a new chapter in BTS's journey. A chapter that concerns not only music, but also mental health, loyalty, and social pressure amid the peak of popularity. Meanwhile, Taehyung is still in military service. But the calmness that usually accompanies idols on duty now does not apply to him. Every move is watched. Even when he didn't appear in Jungkook's usual birthday greetings, fans began to conclude that there was a distance forming. What is most touching is the fact that behind all the theories, Taehyung remains silent. He's not responding. It does not argue. And in the world of celebrities, silence can mean two things: a strategy or a wound too deep to explain. One senior fellow from the K-pop world said, "Taehyung's silence is noisier than 1,000 words." We can only wait to see if he will speak one day. Will BTS remain 7 members after the military period ends? Will there be a joint project? Or is this the beginning of a new journey with a different formation? That question now haunts armies around the world. The future of BTS has never been so certain. And ironically, it all started not because of the company's decision or the comeback schedule, but because of the courage of a Jungkook who could no longer bear to see his best friend suffer in silence. When asked if he regretted opening up, Jungkook simply replied briefly, "I prefer to be honest, even if it causes problems. Because what we're talking about is not music, not money, but someone who means a lot to us." After the shocking news spread widely and left millions of BTS or ARMY fans around the world feeling panicked and full of questions, it is important to examine clearly and thoroughly. Did something serious really happen between Jungkook and Taehyung? Is the future of BTS in danger? Or is all this just the effect of excessive speculation, misperceptions, and distortion of information magnified by social media? In a highly complex entertainment world such as the K-pop industry, dramatic narratives are very easy to form. Words that come out of the mouth of an idol can be interpreted in a variety of ways, depending on context, media framing, to very strong fan emotions. In this case, Jungkook's statement, which is actually general in nature and does not directly address internal issues, has been misinterpreted by some as a form of warning or recognition of a rift within BTS. In fact, if listened to in its entirety and not cut into pieces, Jungkook talks more about his longing for the members, his desire for everyone to get back together in time, and his concerns as an ordinary human being, not as a symbol of a global boy band. It is important to note that to date, no official statement from HYBE has indicated any serious problems in the internal structure of BTS. All of the members are serving their military service according to their schedules, and there are no reports that Taehyung is experiencing health problems, severe stress, or conflicts with other members. On the contrary, the communication of the members continues to run privately, even though it is not publicly displayed to the public. Taehyung himself, through several posts before entering the military, showed high enthusiasm for the future, both as a soloist and as part of BTS. She actively promotes her solo albums, attends various international fashion events, as well as sends warm messages to fans. There is no indication to support the narrative that he wants to leave the group or is considering withdrawing from activities with BTS. Meanwhile, Jungkook, in recent interviews, also emphasized his immense love for the members. He explicitly mentioned that their relationship remains strong, although each is pursuing different temporary paths due to military obligations and individual projects. The statement, "Not everything can be controlled," which was later picked up as a controversial headline, is in fact a general reflection on life, not an innuendo or leak of internal conflict. Why is this news being spread and believed? The answer lies in the rapid and emotional pattern of information consumption. Many fans take a snippet of video or text without checking the entire context, then spread it virally. Narratives that touch on the emotional side tend to spread faster, especially if they involve idols as big as BTS. In the age of social media, one assumption can turn into a fact in a matter of hours, even without confirmation. More than that, many independent media outlets and YouTube channels are taking advantage of the trend to gain attention. They create bombastic titles, play with facial expressions or pieces of idle speech, and then build the narrative as if there is a big crisis. In fact, they have no direct access to internal information and rely only on assumptions or inaccurate translations. This serves as a great warning to all fans to be more careful and critical of the information they consume and shared. In reality, Jungkook and Taehyung's relationship remains strong. They have gone through more than a decade together, going through difficult times from trainees to becoming global icons. Their friendship is shaped not by momentary popularity, but by a long history of struggle, tears, laughter, and loyalty that cannot be measured by mere rumors. The two, along with the other members, are still tied up in a grand plan that will materialize when all finish their military service. The army needs to understand that this vacuum is part of a natural process that every South Korean citizen, including idols, must go through. Silence does not mean rift. Absence does not mean division. This is precisely the time when they are given space to develop personally, build new strengths, and later reunite in a more mature form. In conclusion, the news about Jungkook opening up serious problems and implying Taehyung's fate is uncertain is not true. The narrative is a false interpretation reinforced by pieces of information without context. There are no major conflicts. There are no surprising decisions. There is only great longing, close relationships, and a future that is waiting with hope. Armies around the world should remain calm, support each member with love and trust, and wait for the good times when the 7 BTS members are back together. Until then, let's continue to strengthen each other with truth, not fear.